The Week 10 review episode of the Bears Talk Underground is brought to you by MyBookie. Remember, guys, who you're betting on is just as important as who you are betting with, and that's why I always tell you, go with MyBookie. Trust me, they are the best bet you'll have this season. They have the in-game live betting, over-unders on fantasy points, and the most rewarding player perks in the business. So head over to MyBookie because when you win, they pay. And when you go over there, I want you to use my promo code BEARS25, and it will activate this offer. If you're willing to make a deposit after 7 p.m. Eastern, they'll give you an additional $25 in free play over on deposits over $100, and they will match your deposit dollar for dollar. That's BEARS25. Use the promo code over at MyBookie, MyBookie, and don't forget to use the promo code when creating your account to claim up to $1,000 in free play. So there you have it. MyBookie. You play, you win, you get paid. This week on the Bears Talk Underground, there may have been a chill in the air at Soldier Field on Sunday, but after our beloved's performance against NFC North Rival Detroit, not one fan of the blue and orange faithful left the stadium with anything but good vibrations and warm feelings of victory in their hearts. How did the Bears claim victory number 6? And is there any cause for concern? All of this plus bear up and bear down on the Week 10 review episode of the Bears Talk Underground.
Hang up the telephone, I hear the dial tone, ringing out loud and I don't know.
It's Victory Monday once again, folks. What's better than matching our win total, our highest win total since year one of the John Fox era when we went 6-10, one game better than the final year of Mark Trestman at 5-11. With 7 games left to go, I say nothing, and I dare you to tell me what could be better. What's going on, everybody? Larry D back for the Week 10 review episode of the Bears Talk Underground, and it's I went on and on last week about how the Bears and the Lions are one of the truest rivalries in the NFC North, and that's why I look forward to these games, nerve-wracking as they can be at times. But I also did say I wanted the Bears to bury Detroit into the ground, and when we were up 26-0 in the second quarter yesterday, I was feeling pretty good that we were going to walk away with a victory against this team that has just frustrated us so much over the years and given us some of the most exciting games that we've had lately. But nonetheless, we always came on the wrong end of those, whether it be Connor Barth missing field goals, Jay Cutler throwing interceptions, whatever the reason may be, or for whatever reason not being able to hold off Matt Stafford in the fourth quarter. God help us all. But none of that happened yesterday. The Bears got off to a huge lead, 26-0 in the second quarter, and carried that all the way to the end of the game for a 34-22 win. And the game not even as close as the 12-point deficit at the end of the game would lead you to believe. We will talk a little bit about that as we go along here. But it's win number 6. Like I said, the highest win total we've had since year one of John Fox when we went 6-10. And we've got 7 games left on the schedule. And I would say at least 4 of them are winnable, which would be another game against Detroit. We got a home game against the Packers. I'm really looking forward to that one. And we got the Giants and the 49ers. And that's not talking about the 2 games with the Vikings and the 1 game we have left with the Rams, which is also in Chicago. So, and to tell you the truth, man, as awesome as the Rams have played this year, they're vulnerable on defense, man. If we can rack up some points, because that's why they lost to the Saints, because they couldn't outscore the Saints. For some reason, that defense of theirs, that elite looking defense with Donald and Sue and all that talent that they have, got smoked by the Saints. 45 points they gave up. They gave up 31 yesterday to the Seattle Seahawks, man. If they played the Bears, I think we could beat them. If we could slow them down on defense with a healthy Khalil Mack and the way our secondary and our defense overall has been playing the last 3 weeks, I think we could beat the Rams. I really do. I honestly do. The Saints, that's another question altogether. Those guys they're the one team that I would worry about meeting in the playoffs. right now. But I think the Bears are capable of beating anyone. The only team that I would have any kind of second thoughts about losing to or beating or saying, like, yeah, we're going to win this game would be the Saints. That would become more of a home field. Like, if we play the Saints in January in Chicago, we'll run them all off. We'll run them off the field. I believe that wholeheartedly. But a lot has to happen in order for the Bears to be hosting the Saints in the playoffs this year. A lot, a lot, like a mountain of things have to happen for that to happen. But, you know, I almost regret that the Rams are too far down the road. Maybe they're going to get some guys back or get healthy or whatever. They still got to play the Bears in December in Chicago. I'm really liking our chances in that game with the way that our team is playing the last few weeks, especially on defense. You slow them down on defense, you can outscore them on offense. You know, we as an offense can outscore the Rams. For whatever reason, they're having trouble stopping teams. They just happen to be outscoring their opponents, you know, enough to get the wins. That's what's going on with the Rams right now. They're vulnerable on defense. We could put some points up against the Rams and have a good day defensively. They can be beaten. They can be beaten. So I'm loving the way the team is playing right now. And, you know, aside from our kicking game, which we'll talk about here as we go along things, but Trubisky was lights out yesterday in a divisional game, which was fantastic to see. You know, he was damn near perfect in the first quarter, still almost perfect going into halftime. And, you know, as I'm looking at the wide receiver stats right now, you know, how many times have we talked about this kind of thing throughout the year up to this point? But it's like Allen Robinson, 6 catches, 8 targets. Before it would be Allen Robinson caught 4 passes on 11 targets or something crazy like that. Anthony Miller, 5 catches, 6 targets. Trey Burton caught all 4 targets that went his way. Tariq Cohen, 6 catches on 7 targets. And the only person that was missed on was Taylor Gabriel, who had no catches on 3 targets yesterday. I think the Lions were afraid of him and decided to focus on him, and we exploited them with everybody else, which is and we'll talk a bit more about this as we go along as well. Huge sign of progress yesterday, and I'll tell you where you know where it came from, or you know how I see it as progress as we get down the trough here. So let's go ahead and dive in. The first quarter started out just the way that we wanted to. The Bears get the football. We put it in the end zone. We get the ball back from the Lions. We put it in the end zone again, and we're playing ahead against this team that has trouble playing from behind, even with the great Matt Stafford, who was, you know, gotten this reputation for comeback victories and so on. We got a big lead on a team having trouble playing from behind this year, and we were able to tee off in the first quarter.
Knee-jerk reaction to the first quarter, the Bears and the Lions, and everything coming up Bears so far, including our beloved quarterback, Mitchell Trubisky. Only 1 incompletion. By my count, he was 7 for 8. I don't know how many yards he got in. That's you can attribute a heavy chunk of those yards to Allen Robinson. 2 drives for the Bears result in 2 touchdowns and 2 big plays by Allen Robinson. One on the first drive, a 35-yard catch that set up the first touchdown by Tariq Cohen. The second one on 3rd and 15. I think it was a 35-plus yard reception again to Allen Robinson. Makes the reception in the end zone, kind of back-shouldered or underthrew, depending on who you're talking to. Daryl Johnston thinks it was underthrown. I don't know. Who the hell cares? He was intended to throw it to Robinson. Robinson caught it at the end zone, and the Bears are looking good on offense. That second drive, 8 plays, 91 yards. The Lions thought they were going to play a little field position, and it did not go their way. The defense having a hard time bottling up the Bears on offense right now. On defense, the Lions were able to move the ball fairly well on that first drive. They moved the chains. They went for it on 4th down, and they got it. You know, the mixing up the run and the pass kind of thing. They were able to move the chains. However, the offensive line seems to be picking up where they left off. 2 sacks of Stafford on that first drive, including including a third down sack by Roquan Smith that knocked the Lions out of field goal range. They were going to be kicking into the wind. It would have taken a 55-yard field goal. Initially, they brought the field goal team on the field, took a timeout, thought better of it, thought to play the field position game. And I already told you how that went. So the Lions have the football for the second time with this, and now they'll be going with the win instead of against it now. And we'll see how it goes. The only negative that happened in the first quarter for the Bears would be Cody Parker doinking the initial field goal, or excuse me, the extra point off of the uprights. Other than that, it's coming up all Bears so far. 2 sacks, 150 yards total offense, 13-0 lead. Can't go much better than that. So here we are. We're getting ready to start the second quarter right now. Let's see how our beloved pick it up from where they left off.
Cody Parkey was off targets with one of his extra points in the first quarter, and I was off target by mispronouncing his name in the first quarter knee-jerk reaction, so we're even on that one. So I didn't panic on the first. He missed the extra point on the first touchdown. It's 6-0 instead of 7. He comes right back when we score the second time. Boom, he puts it between the uprights. Well, you think that it's over, right? Unfortunately, no. It didn't work out that way. He did it again in the second quarter, and then, God. Anyway, but we'll talk about Cody Parkey here in a minute, and obviously he'll be featured somewhere. I won't tell you where in the Bear Up, Bear Down section. I'll let you think about where he might pop up there. But in the first quarter, the Bears were aggressive. They were coming after the Lions, and it was great to see. It was great to see. It was even greater to see the fact that Allen Robinson came back like a bat out of hell in that first quarter. Like I said, he had a huge reception on the first drive that set up the 3-yard touchdown run from Tariq Cohen. A lot of really great things from the line on that Cohen run. You see the rookie James Daniel bottle up his guy. Cody Whitehair snacks Harrison turn, basically open that hole right up for Cohen, who just walks right into the end zone for the touchdown. And then Robinson, it was a 36-yard reception for the touchdown on the second drive. And like I said, it depends on who you're talking to on how you think that throw went. Did Mitchell Trubisky purposely throw it back shoulder, or was the throw underthrown? Like I said in the knee-jerk reaction, who the hell cares? He intended for it to go to Allen Robinson in the end zone, who caught the ball in the end zone, touchdown Bears. So it worked out. Whatever was happening, it worked out. So we'll just take it for what it is. And then, like I said, the defense, 2 sacks in the first quarter. Roquan Smith with that drive-killing sack on third down knocked him out of field goal range. They thought they'd pin us back, but instead 8 plays, 91 yards. That was capped off by the Allen Robinson touchdown. Everything was coming up Bears except for Cody Parkey missing that extra point. It was a fantastic thing to see. That's how you wanted to see the Bears respond to what was supposed to be a step up in competition from the 2 weeks of playing the lesser half of the AFC East. So, and also, like I said, playing against a team that, we're going to have to see a second time in a very short period. 10 days from today, on the 12th, we see them again on Thanksgiving. We're playing them again. But, hopefully we didn't show too much, so they weren't, we still got some tricks left in our bag when we see them on Thanksgiving Day. And the tricks that we did use were wildly effective to give the Bears such a huge lead early on and kind of be able to coast in the second half. And we'll talk about the second half here in a minute. But in the second quarter, it was more of the same. We got a couple more touchdowns put on the board. We kept our foot on Detroit's throat there through the majority of the second quarter to build a lead that Detroit would not be able to come back from.
Knee-jerk reaction to the Bears and the Lions after the second quarter, and it was more of the same. Dominance from our beloved on both sides of the football. And the Bears have jumped out to a 26-7 halftime lead. I mean, we've had the ball, unless you want to count this very last drive, we had the ball 5 times. We scored 4 touchdowns. Again, the only real negative, we have Cody Parkey doinking a second extra point off of the upright after our third touchdown. A 45-yard completion from Trubisky to a wide open Anthony Miller. He didn't miss him this time. Trubisky is on fire so far. I think he only has 2 or 3 incompletions in the entire first half. I just saw a stat. Allen Robinson has 99 yards on 4 catches and a touchdown so far in the first half. So he's coming back at 110%. The defense did give up a long drive to the Lions here right at the end of the half. They finally put the ball in the end zone to make it 26-7. We're able to kind of spread the Bears out on defense, and then they were running it right down the middle. They got big chunks of yardage on the ground by spreading the Bears out with like 4 wide receiver sets, and then Kerryon Johnson, LeGarrette Blount running the football up the middle. That's where they were most effective, and they ended up putting in the end zone to finish the half. But it's been all Bears. Trubisky has been doing an amazing job so far in the first half. Like I said, I think he only has maybe 2 or 3 incompletions in the entire first half thus far. His the 4th touchdown that put us up 26-0. My favorite one so far. A couple of plays prior to the touchdown drive. Jarrad Davis, the middle linebacker for the Detroit Lions. Trubisky is under siege. He's about to get sacked. He breaks the pocket. He's running, and he's decides to get out of bounds. Jarrad Davis takes him and kind of leading him out of bounds, and then pushes him into a ball boy. I mean, just crashes the poor guy. I'm talking about the ball boy, of course, gets run over by Trubisky, gets flagged, puts us down, inside the 5 or whatever it was. But a punk-ass move by Jarrad Davis to do that. My favorite thing was we ran the quarterback draw on from the 6-yard line, something like that. And it was meant to look like a draw play or a handoff to Jordan Howard. Comes right up the middle, and as soon as he starts blocking Jarrad Davis, Trubisky takes off, runs it right up the middle, right at Jarrad Davis, gets in for the touchdown. Trubisky enthusiastically spikes the ball in the ground and then screams out loud. It was awesome. So the Bears are on fire on offense. 4 real possessions, 4 touchdowns. The Lions start with the football, so they've got a little bit momentum with that touchdown drive just before the half. But we've got a big lead, and we've got all the confidence in the world going into the second half.
Couple of things about that last touchdown drive, the one that ended with Trubisky's quarterback's draw for the touchdown. Number one, it was set up by an interception from Bryce Callahan, who had, I think, the first sack on Stafford in the football game. So, I mean, a sack and interception in the first half set up a short field and a scoring drive for the Bears. And that play in particular that I was talking about, Jarrad Davis, Trubisky broke the they had him dead to rights. Okay, they had him. He breaks the pocket. He runs away. He's going to get out of bounds. Jarrad Davis is kind of like guiding him out of bounds, kind of like, just pushing him, like he's got his hand on his back. And then at the very end, and like Daryl Johnston said during the game, they're not even in the white. They were in the green grass on the sideline. Like they had passed the entire sideline before he shoves Trubisky into this ball. Straight plows the poor guy over. And what I loved about that was that when the smoke cleared, it was a bunch of Bears and Lions in the middle of it, jawing back and forth with each other. Trubisky and Jarrad Davis are actually no longer a part of it. They're the 2 guys that are walking away from the pile because Anthony Miller got in Jarrad Davis' face, who got into somebody got in Miller's face, and here comes Cody Whitehair and Daniels and the offensive line. Nobody liked it whatsoever that they pushed Trubisky into that ball boy like that. Not to mention, they probably pissed him off that it hurt one of the guys working the game in their stadium as well. This guy had his back to the game or whatever was going on. The poor guy gets run over because Jarrad Davis is being a dickhead. And it was just a low-class move that he pulled, and that's why I was so happy about the play that ensued a few plays later when we ran the quarterback draw right at him, and Trubisky got to run through his arm tackle because he was being blocked by Jordan Howard at the time for the touchdown. He spikes the ball. He tried to throw the football through the ground. That's how jacked up he was and screaming right into the camera and all the rest of that stuff. It was the perfect punctuation to the second half. Too bad it was then followed by the Lions taking the ball down the field to put their only points on the board, which actually should have been avoided. The Bears actually were able to get I think it was a Mukamura who pulled, or somebody, Galladay caught a pass from Stafford, and it was one of those where one defender was holding him up and the other one went after the ball and was actually able to get the ball loose, but the referees initially called it down, and our head coach, I can't remember his name all of a sudden, Matt Nagy, was too late in getting the challenge flag out. Because the Lions quickly get up to the line of scrimmage, they run a play. Nagy got the flag out, but not before they snapped the football. Therefore, you can't go back and replay it. They showed the replay. Fox showed the replay, and the ball came out in plenty of time. It was, the Bears knocked it out. The Bears did recover, so it would have been Bears football had they gone back and replayed it. It would have negated the touchdown drive for the Lions. And who knows, with the way the offense was playing, maybe we go up 33-0 or 34-0 at halftime instead, because we would have been deep in Detroit territory had Nagy been able to get the flag out in time. So unfortunately, he didn't pull the trigger on, and he owned up to it, to his credit, in the press conference. Is like, I was trying to get the plays ready for the next drive and so on and so forth. I didn't catch it in time. He had his head down. He wasn't watching the defense, and he missed his opportunity to get the flag out in time. So we'll see how he works on that going forward. But that was a missed opportunity there for the Bears right before the half, and it was a little bit concerning seeing what and maybe the Bears were going in somewhat of a prevent. It was getting close to halftime there, so they were kind of back on their heels a little bit. But the chunks of yardage that they had on the Bears running the ball was concerning. But it was something that I guess with second half adjustments that the Bears negated one way or the other, because they didn't dominate with the run in the second half of the football game. That being said, the third quarter was probably the most frustrating quarter of the day for me personally as I sat and watched the game. Number one, because it felt like it took forever, and number two, I saw some things from the Bears or from Nagy or whatever that I didn't like in the third quarter.
Knee-jerk reaction in the third quarter, the Bears and the Lions, and very mixed feelings about this third quarter. The Bears kind of come out a little flat on offense. The Lions were able to move the football a bit and add a field goal. It was actually a very long quarter as well. It's kind of seemed to drag on, and I blame that mostly on the Bears, because it seemed like with a 26-7 halftime lead, Nagy got conservative again and started playing not to lose in the second half instead of staying aggressive and burying the Lions where they stand. There was, the back-to-back drives. We ran on 3 straight plays and barely got yardage, and we're in field goal range, and Cody Parkey has missed 4 kicks today, 2 extra points, 2 field goals, all 4 off the upright, and I don't even think he could do that on purpose. That's how impossible that is. He's cost us 8 points so far. The game should be way more out of reach than it already is. The good news is the Bears are still winning by a ton. The Lions have only been able to add a field goal to their total, giving them 10 points after 3 quarters. The Bears finally remembered that the game is not over yet and got aggressive on the last offensive drive. Allen Robinson with another long touchdown reception. This was more of a catch and run on Allen Robinson's part. 125 yards on 5 catches for Robinson today, 2 touchdowns. That's a hell of a return after being out for a couple of weeks. Instead of kicking an extra point, they leave Cody Parkey on the sideline and go for 2, and they get it. The Bears are up 34-10 coming into the fourth quarter, and it should be, with the 8 points that Cody Parkey has cost us, 42-10 right now. That's where we should be. Where we are, 34-10, and even though Matt Stafford has a reputation for coming from behind with late victories and such, I just don't see it coming from this Lions team. I don't see it happening. So the Bears are in a hell of a spot right now. They're up 24 points on the division rival Lions with 15 minutes left to go in the game.
The Lions offense really was struggling, and you know, the effort from our defense aside, they really do miss Golden Tate. That's obvious. They really did seem to be lacking for options, especially in the passing game. If it wasn't going to Kenny Galladay, it really wasn't going anywhere. As I'm looking at their stats, Galladay was targeted 13 times yesterday. 13 times by Stafford, 6 catches. Theo Riddick is a running back. He was the second highest targeted receiver with 7. Marvin Jones also 7 targets. Kerryon Johnson 6 catches on 6 catches on 6 targets coming out of the backfield. So the top 4 receivers for the Lions yesterday, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and you know, Theo Riddick was actually lining up in the slot, kind of like Jeremy Reisman said during the preview episode. That's what the Lions have been doing since trading Golden Tate, lining him up in the slot as a slot receiver. And that's what we're seeing them do yesterday. And it was, obviously that worked out very well in the Bears' favor while they tried to figure that out. And, it just seems it kind of goes back to the confusing nature of the Golden Tate trade, where they made the trade to add Snacks Harrison to their defensive line to kind of shore up the middle of that defensive line, and then they trade away one of their more important offensive pieces, and that never seemed to be more obvious than it did yesterday. What Golden Tate could have provided could have made a difference in yesterday's game. So I mean, they were shorthanded by their own choice in the game against the Bears yesterday. They really could have used Golden Tate in that football game. So it was, obviously that trade worked out well for the Bears big time. So, but to talk about the frustrations, it happened in the third quarter and also for the fourth quarter as well. And this is where we go back to the point where I was saying, but it actually shows progress. The Lions did a hell of a job bottling up the Bears' running game yesterday, which is exactly what I would have done if I was putting up a defensive game plan for the Bears. It's like you want, at this stage in his career, you want to put the ball in Mitch Trubisky's hands and force him to win the football game for them. That's what you actually want. You know, that Tampa Bay game up to this point has proven to be an anomaly. It's obvious he's a talented passer, but it's also obvious he's going through his growing pains. First year in a new system with a new coach, bunch of new teammates, so on and so forth. I mean, we'll repeat that till we're blue in the face. Those are just the facts. And aside from the perfect day that he had against Tampa Bay, he's been shaky at best throughout the rest of it. Impressive stats, yes or no, but he's never, he hasn't quite had a solid start to end game throughout the year, aside from that one game 6 weeks ago now against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And you want to take the running game away, so you bottle up Jordan Howard, you make sure Tariq Cohen doesn't do anything crazy to you, you put it all on Trubisky. The progress being that that's exactly what happened. And Trubisky smoked the Lions yesterday. A brand new career high. He did 1 yard better than his career high performance against Tampa Bay. 355 yards instead of 354. 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. The rushing touchdown, which was my favorite moment of the entire football game. Trubisky made the Lions pay for putting the football in his hands. The concern, of course, being that the running game was atrocious yesterday. Jordan Howard, 11 carries, 29 yards. Tariq Cohen, 7 carries, 15 yards. Trubisky with his scrambling was the second leading rusher with 18 yards yesterday. But if you look at our top 2 running backs, Howard and Cohen, 18 carries, 36 yards for a 2-yard average. You don't win football games when you play like that. And you hear me talk about it in the fourth quarter, knee-jerk reaction. We got to get that fixed. We got it. I don't know if it's the running game is just lousy at run blocking, or I refuse to believe that it's because we got the wrong guys running the football. As awesome as Jordan Howard has been in this first couple of years in the league. How do we have a better offense and he's the worst part of it? It just doesn't make any sense to me. I know that some guys fit better into a scheme than others do, but I just refuse to believe that Jordan Howard is such a bad fit in this offense that he can't get anything going. Again, only 11 carries yesterday, but granted, it just seemed like part of the Bears reacting to what the Lions were giving them, and throwing the football was going a hell of a lot better than running it, so we did that. You know, if Trubisky came to the line with an RPO choice, he was going with the pass because that's what the Lions were doing. Like, I actually saw that happen on, I think it was the first play of the game, because the first play of the game was a handoff to Jordan Howard for like 9 yards on first down. And anytime that you hear the quarterback say kill, kill, kill at the line of scrimmage, he's changing the play. So I heard Trubisky say kill, 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 and even I was looking at how spread out the Lions' defense was, and I was like, run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. They handed off to Jordan Howard, boom, right up the gut for 9 yards on 1st and 10. So, I mean, but then again, he ended the game with 21 yards on 11 carries, so he basically got half of his yardage on the first carry of the game, and it didn't get any better after that. We really got to do something about the running game. I don't know if Harry Houston, our offensive line coach, we got to work on some different schemes or something to help open up those holes for Howard. We got to do some between the tackle stuff, get him going, so that, you know, we would be damn near unstoppable if we can get the running game going on offense, if they have to worry about both facets. Because last year, remember, that's what you wanted to do. You had to shut down Cohen and Howard, put the ball in the rookie's hands and see what happens, kind of thing. The Lions went ahead and did that yesterday, probably because that's how they were able to beat us twice last year. Put the ball in Trubisky's hands, see what happens, and it backfired against them because we got weapons to throw the football to this year. But we got to get that running game going with Howard. It just has to happen. 11 carries is unacceptable, especially when we were up 26-0 with more than half the game left to go. And he came in with the idea. Obviously, you want to run the ball more in the second half, but it just seemed like he gave up an entire drive to running the football. But the frustrating part about that was, like, one run went to Cohen, one went to Howard, another one went to, like, I think Taylor Gabriel or something like that. They did one of those end arounds or something like that. No, it was Taquan Mazzell. That's who it was. They gave it to Taquan Mazzell, who got 0 yards on that one carry. So, that should have been, if you want a dedicated drive to running the football, give it to the horse. Give it to Howard. Let him run the ball. Stop mixing it up. I know that you're trying to keep the defense on their toes by mixing up personnel groupings, and so they won't know, because that was the one thing that was so frustrating to watch last year, was that the Bears' offense was as predictable as the sun coming up tomorrow. Everybody knew what we were doing. It was just a matter of whether or not they could stop us from doing it. Who cares, man? We got a 26-point lead. Run the ball down their throats. If they can stop it, great. If they can't, that's even better. That's what we got to do. And in some cases, that's where Nagy tries to get a little too smart for his own good, tries to be the smartest guy in the room, and it ends up being the biggest mistake. Just give the ball to Howard. Tell him to find a seam somewhere in the line of scrimmage and bury his head forward. Run somebody. I mean, look at the touchdown he had last week against Buffalo. I don't know if that running back that he crashed into has woken up yet. He just plowed right into the guy and then just walked into the end zone after running him over. That's what that running back is capable of. That's what we need to give him an opportunity to do a bit more often. The good news is he's played well against the Vikings. Hopefully that continues this coming Sunday when we're on national TV and the whole world is watching. So anyway, that's my little soapbox rant on our running game. It's been, aside from Trubisky's inaccuracies from time to time, it's been the one thing that's frustrated me more than anything with this offense. Just Trubisky's struggles have been on the forefront because they've been, extremely noticeable. But that running game, we got to get that going, because I don't know what his yearly total is, but I bet it's definitely not on course to get 1,000 yards for the third year in a row for him. I doubt very much that Howard is on pace to get 1,000 yards with 7 games to go. So we're on the downslope. It's all downhill from here, and I don't think Howard is close to getting 1,000 yards on the ground this season. So anyway, we go into the fourth quarter. Like I said, at the end of the third quarter there, we realized that, hey, the football game's not over, so we should probably keep playing. And we scored that touchdown, Allen Robinson, the catch and run to go up. And they didn't give Parkey a chance anymore. They're like, you know what, dude, we're gonna do this one without you. We're gonna go for two, and got the 2-pointer to Trey Burton to put us up 34-10 at the time. And that was the other thing we mentioned or I mentioned that Parkey doinged another 2 field goal attempts this time. So that was 6 points that Parkey left on the field in the third quarter, as opposed to the 1 point each in the first half. Yeah, it was just like it became comedy. It just like to the point where it was like Parkey was smiling in that frustrated smile. It just he was definitely not feeling it that day. And I don't know if it's if he was having trouble with the conditions as far as the wind in Soldier Field, because he said he was aiming to shoot it down the middle, and it kept pulling to the right on him. And you'd think after missing the third kick, he would have changed it up for the fourth one. But no, because every one of those kicks was on the high end of the crossbar. So it's not like he didn't have enough leg and it banged off the crossbar, or was on the high end of the goal of the upright, I should say, not the crossbar, the upright. He'd plenty of leg. He had leg for days, so that wasn't the issue at all. He just kept hitting the damn upright instead of it getting to go through the uprights. So, yeah, we'll talk about Cody Parkey here when we get to the bear up, bear down. Still not going to tell you which side of the bear up, bear down spectrum he's going to land on. But we go to the fourth quarter. We close it out, and we seal up this victory. First win over the Lions in at least, I think, 3 years. I think we beat them since did we beat them in 2016? We only had 3 wins in 2016. I think the Lions were one of them. But anyway, first time, the first meeting with the Lions, we got the W, and that's all that matters.
Knee-jerk reaction to the fourth quarter, the Bears and the Lions, and we've done it. We finally got a W against the Lions. 34-22, the final score in this one. Not really happy with how we played in the second half. The defense seemed to be playing a bit soft. Nagy a little bit soft with his play calling and conservative and everything. I really, especially in the third quarter, feel like we should have been a lot more aggressive. I think we could have made this a much bigger triumph than it ended up being. 34-22 does not tell the story of how the Bears dominated this game. Trubisky, 23 of 30, 355 yards, 3 touchdown passes, no interceptions, and a rushing touchdown. He was a monster today against the Lions. We couldn't run the ball worth a damn. That is something we absolutely have to fix next week against the Minnesota Vikings. We have to be able to run the ball against Minnesota. There's no doubt about that. But the defense today, 6 sacks, 2 turnovers, outstanding. The only unit, obviously, that was lacking, I'm not even going to say special teams. I'm going to say the field goal team. Cody Parkey left 8 points on the field this week. It should be a 42-22 victory for the Bears with the 8 points that he left out there. Instead, it is a much closer looking game than it ended up being. But the Bears come away with their 3rd straight win. We are still atop the NFC North, heading into a first-place showdown with the Vikings next Sunday on Sunday Night Football. Looking forward to it.
And I am definitely looking forward to it. It's another measuring stick game for the Bears. Unfortunately, we've come up short in those games thus far. Losing to Green Bay week 1, losing to New England week 7. However, we should have won both of those games. That's the progress that the 2018 season represents. In my opinion, is being in those games is the point more so than winning at this stage. Obviously, we should have won, especially the Green Bay game. Don't even get me started. But but being in those games, period, is a definite change from the last few years where we're struggling to stay relevant in a game against Green Bay, struggling to stay relevant against Tom. The last time we saw Tom Brady, he had 50 points on us in the third quarter. That's how bad it was the last time that we played the Patriots 4 years ago. That's how embarrassing it was to sit there and watch that. So the fact that we were there and, in it until the very end, and our biggest losing margin so far of this year is only the 7 points that we lost to New England. Our loss to Miami was a 3-point loss. The loss to Green Bay, a 1-point loss. I mean, that's how close we've been, how close we were to being undefeated so far this season. The ball bounces a few different ways, and we get the luck, and boom, we're 9-0 instead of just 6-3. That's the progress that the Bears are making here in 2018. And the Cody Parkey thing, first of all, Nagy came out almost immediately in support of Parkey. We're not bringing in any kickers to audition or anything like that. Cody Parkey is fine. He had a bad day. Now, I made a bold prediction for those of you who follow me on Twitter, and I said that the Bears were not going to cut Cody Parkey because everybody was asking for his job after missing that second field goal in the third quarter. I knew that wasn't going to happen. Looking at, logistically with his salary and all, he's in the first year of a 4-year, $15 million contract where $9 million of it is guaranteed. We can't really, we can afford to cut him, but it wouldn't be a good move. And number two, the second half, the bold part of the prediction was that I think Cody Parkey will be somewhat of a hero next week against the Vikings. Whatever kick we ask him to make against Minnesota, he's going to make them. So if it comes down to it being a 3-point game, I believe, knock on wood, Cody Parkey is going to be there for us. So maybe that's just me, rose-colored glasses, glass half full instead of glass half empty. But I love our chances next week against Minnesota. We get the running game going. We stay efficient, and we play the offensive game that we played today, this past the Sunday against Detroit. We'll smoke the Vikings. I believe that. But the reason that I say getting the running game going is essential is because the Vikings have a much better pass rush than Detroit does. So if they can stop the run, they'll just be pinning their ears back to come after Trubisky in the passing game, and that's the one thing we haven't quite seen. We've seen that he moves around in the pocket, but he's not the best when he's under pressure. So we want to be able to give the Vikings pause to do that. Like maybe we do that. Draw a play up the middle. There goes Jordan Howard. Good luck running him down, kind of thing. That's why we want to get the running game going against Minnesota so that they are not pinning their ears back and just coming after Trubisky. Mike Zimmer, the head coach of the Vikings, is one of the better defensive minds in the league right now. He will figure out a way to try to make that happen. It's up to us as an offense to figure out a way to keep them from doing that. Whether it just be, getting them on their heels with hot routes and things like that. But I think the best way to be most effective with that is to run the football, to be effective running the ball as well. So I hope Jordan Howard is gearing up and eating his Wheaties and taking his vitamins, saying his prayers like Hulk Hogan would say. And he's ready for a big game on Sunday against Minnesota because we're going to need him. That's for sure. So, that's something that we definitely have to shore up with the Vikings coming into town on Sunday, on Sunday Night Football. It's going to be a huge, huge game. The Vikings were off this week, so they had 2 weeks to get ready for us. And, it's going to be a showdown for first place because the winner of that game will be in first place by themselves. So it's going to be huge, So, yeah, in the fourth quarter, it was, more of the same. With the Bears, we slowed down the pace. Basically tried to get it over with. The Lions, on the other hand, were still trying to win the game. Khalil Mack got his sacks. He got 2 of them yesterday, one in the third quarter, one in the fourth. The one in the fourth quarter was my favorite because he slides a chip block from the tight end and then 2-arm shoves the offensive tackle, Taylor Decker, flat onto his back and then runs right over Matt Stafford. It was a thing of beauty. It was a thing of beauty. I posted the GIF of that sack on Twitter with the caption, 2 first-round picks still seems like a bargain to me. When you see plays like that, 2 first-round, just 2? Okay, yeah, here, take them. We get that guy? Well, yeah, okay, no problem. Take the 2 first-round picks. Go ahead. We'll take the future Hall of Famer. We'll take that guy. You take your first-round picks that will probably not be on your team by the end of their first contract. Good luck with that, especially since you're the Raiders and you're doing such a bang-up job since the trade. God, they are a mess. They are a mess. They cut Bruce Irvin. I read an article yesterday about another veteran on the team talking about, I got to get the F out of here. I mean, and the thing is, as a football fan, I want to see the Raiders doing better. Because when I was brought up watching the league and watching football and stuff like that, the Raiders, the Browns, these were the teams that were among they were the perennial playoff teams. The Bengals, they were a joke for the most part. Other teams that are playing well, the Patriots were a joke after they made the Super Bowl in 86 against the Bears, 85/86 against the Bears. They were a laughing stock. They were the Browns, for years and years and years. They were the worst team until Parcells came to town. And, even then it took a few years to get that one going. But, I kind of would like to, just in the old nostalgic me, the Raiders being one of the better teams, the Browns being a better team, and so on and so forth. That's kind of what I'm hoping we get to at some point. Just to flip it in the AFC. We've talked about that a million times, about they need the new blood in the AFC. But anyhow, Mac, came back with a vengeance yesterday. He got his 2 sacks, was impactful in the Bears getting 6 sacks on Stafford yesterday. So that offensive line of the Lions giving up 16 sacks in the last 2 games. And that's just the last 2. I mean, that's a ton. The Bears only gave up 1 yesterday in quite an unenviable spot, but they only gave up the 1 yesterday. They were otherwise flawless in pass protection for Trubisky yesterday. So anyway, I think that's going to do it for the Week 10 review. Now we go ahead and close this bad boy out with everybody's favorite segment, Bear Up, Bear Down. Bears25 is the promo code. MyBookie is the place to go, and free money is your reward. Up to $25 in in free money on deposits made over $100 after 7 p.m. Eastern, and MyBookie will match your deposit dollar for dollar for up to $1,000 as well. So there is not many things in this world better than free money, believe me, that will keep you warm in these cold. I mean, it's in the 20s today. It's ridiculous, man. It was. I like cold weather, but 20 degrees outside and that wind that just cuts right through, just disrespects any jacket that you have on. It just cut right through you. Anyway, go to MyBookie. You play, you win, you get paid by MyBookie. And we go into our Bear Up, Bear Down section. And I know you guys are just chomping at the bit to find out, Larry, where did you put Cody Parkey in this week's Bear Up, Bear Down scenario? Well, guys, are you sitting down? You're sitting down, right? Okay, so brace yourselves. He's in the bear down side of things. I know. It's staggering to think that a guy that went 1 for 5 overall on the day, or was it 2 for 5? 2 for 5. 2 for 6. 2 for 6. Yeah. He missed 2 extra points and 2 field goals, but he made 2 extra points as well. 2 for 6 on the day. Hard to think that somebody would end up on the bear down side of things there, but he did. It happened. That did happen. So what are you going to do? Anyway, bear down to Cody Parkey. We got to get that fixed up, bro. We can't have a game like this. The one benefit of the day that Cody Parkey had, unlike, because I compared him to Mason Crosby, who had a very similar day against the Lions in Detroit, where the Lions actually beat the Packers earlier this season. The benefit being that those points that Cody Parkey missed did not factor into the Bears. The Bears didn't lose the game because of the points that we missed. That's the upside to the whole thing, which is also why that the outrage over his performance yesterday isn't that much more venomous and dire for him. But it didn't alter the outcome of the game. The point total would have just been the margin of victory would have been higher for the Bears instead of that's the reason that we lost. But we got some tough games coming up. We got to go on the road to Detroit in 10 stinking days. We got a home game against the Vikings, one of the better defenses in the league. Every single point is going to count in those games, so you can't have another day like the one you had yesterday. That's just unacceptable. So got to get that fixed up. Whatever you need to do, go see, find Jesus, something. You see you're a God-fearing man. You need to be chatting it up with the Lord this week to get that fixed up so that you come in the right mind frame, put it between the uprights, not hitting them on purpose. So anyway, let's go to the Bear upside. Mitchell Trubisky, Bear up, 23 of 30, 355, 3 touchdowns, no picks, and a rushing touchdown. Damn near perfect quarterback rating, 148.6 on the afternoon. I think I saw somebody on Twitter posted that this is Trubisky's third quarterback rating of over 100 this year. Jay Cutler had 8 in 8 seasons with the Bears. Yeah, that's not good. Not good. Anyway, I've talked about Cutler and what his legacy might be with the Bears. Will it kind of be looked at about as a what could have been thing because we never really had the right people around him. I got a feeling that if Trubisky continues to progress the way that he is, that is going to put quite the black eye on any kind of legacy that Jay Cutler may or may not have with the Bears, 10 years from now when we look back on it. If Trubisky is a perennial all-pro quarterback and we look back and like, Jay Cutler, man, what a dark period that was for the Bears when Cutler was on the team, when the reality is until now, he was the best quarterback we ever had. As far as his arm strength, his talent, and so on and so forth, he just didn't have the pieces around him to be successful on a consistent. And believe me, he definitely had his shortcomings. It wasn't all his supporting cast, but that played a big part in it for sure. Still up on the Bear upside, Allen Robinson, obviously 6 catches, 133 yards, 2 touchdowns yesterday. Anthony Miller, I love this kid, 5 catches, 122 yards yesterday. Some big catches out of Anthony Miller. Like I said in the knee-jerk reaction in the second quarter, he was wide open on that touchdown, and Trubisky got it there. He was basically alone by himself in a zone covered by nobody. He catches the football. He made one guy miss, and he was off to the races for 45 yards and a touchdown. He had a 55-yard reception later on in the game. 100 yards on those 2 catches, and he was able to add 22 more to be at 122 and a touchdown on the day yesterday. Bear up to Bryce Callahan. An interception that kind of flew under the radar because it set up yet another touchdown for the Bears, had another sack yesterday. We're going to have to pay this guy and keep him around. This is a guy that we signed off the street as an unrestricted free agent, as a rookie, undrafted rookie free agent. We found Bryce Callahan, and he's been fantastic for us. He's peaking at the right time, so we're going to have to give this guy some change, keep him around, because he's doing an outstanding job contributing. Fangio taking full advantage of his talents so far this year. Bear up to Kyle Fuller, another great day in coverage against the Lions wide receivers yesterday. Made some really nice plays. One in particular that I remember would have been a big play, but Fuller got his hand in there just in time to knock the ball away. He's been playing some solid football in the last several weeks. Didn't get off to a great start, that week 1 especially against the Packers in the second half of the game, but then again, nobody played well in the second half of that Packer game. Bear up to Roquan Smith, quietly the leading tackler of the game yesterday, probably for about the 3rd or 4th week. Had that sack in the first quarter that killed the first drive of the Lions, set them back into field goal range, or out of field goal range, I should say, that led them to punt, and then we got the ball. They thought they were going to do the field position thing, and we rammed it down their throats for 91 yards and a touchdown. But Roquan Smith, like I said, he's kind of hidden on this defense with Akeem Hicks, with Eddie Goldman, with Khalil Mack, with the way that our secondary is playing right now, kind of overshadowed at times by his fellow linebacker in Danny Trevathan at times. And yet he's still the number 8 overall pick, playing like the guy that we drafted to be in the center of our defense for the next decade. He got off to a slow start, missed most of training camp. So that's the other reason that I'm kind of salivating over 2019, and I hate to keep talking about it the way that I do, but it's the truth. I do think the Bears have a lot to say about what's going to happen or how 2018 is going to turn out. The Bears are going to have a say in that. I believe it wholeheartedly. However, 2019, it'll be year 2 of Nagy and Trubisky together, year 2 of all these guys being together for it on the offensive side, a full offseason training camp for Roquan Smith, a full offseason training camp for Khalil Mack, who basically came into that Green Bay game cold and played lights out the way that he did. Just imagine, with all the time and preparation that we'll have, what we can do in 2019 in year 2 of what we're doing. Number 1, we're coming right out of the gates like a bat out of hell. What can we do with a full off season of everybody together to pull this off? That's why 2019, I can't wait. I can't wait for 2019. Let's see who we have left on this list. Oh, yeah, Khalil Mack. Bear up to Khalil Mack making his return, looking like a beast, especially in the second half. 2 sacks in the second half. That last one, he 2-arm shoved Taylor Decker right onto his back and then plowed right over Matt Stafford and did this kind of it almost looked like a cartwheel he was trying to do when he was getting up off of the ground. That was pretty great. Let's go bear down again. Well, actually, this is kind of hand in hand. Bear up to pass blocking from the offensive line. Aside from the 1 sack towards the end of the football game that they gave up, they were outstanding yesterday. Trubisky had all the time in the world. He was able to be fundamentally sound. He was hitting all of his targets. I mean, like I said earlier, Allen Robinson, 6 catches on 8 targets. Anthony Miller, this is usually the guy he caught 3 balls. He was targeted 9 times. We just couldn't connect. Not this time. 5 catches on 6 targets in the football game. So he was a lot more accurate, a lot more deadly than he had been in probably since that Tampa Bay game. And, it was due great in part to the offensive line doing its job. Bear down, however, to the run blocking, because it's not all Jordan Howard. I mean, we got to do something up front because we're getting stuffed at the line of scrimmage. It'd be one thing if Jordan Howard's going down after the first person touches him. That's not what that's not who Jordan Howard is. That's not what Jordan Howard does. Jordan Howard is a tank with legs, and he will run you over. We've seen him. Hell, we saw it do him just last week against Buffalo. Like I said, I don't think that kid's woken up from his concussion just yet, the way that he got plowed over by Howard on that touchdown run. So Jordan Howard averaging less than 2 yards a carry. That's not all on Jordan Howard. It's kind of a group thing. Nagy not making the right plays, the offensive line not getting the blocks, and so on. So originally I had Jordan Howard on this bear down list, and I thought better of it. So officially I'm not going to say Jordan Howard gets a bear down. He definitely has some work to do, and hopefully he can bounce back this week against the Vikings and make the impact that we need to see, or that we've been waiting all year to see from Jordan Howard, and see him break off some of those big runs. But we got to use him. I mean, if that's one thing that Loggins and Fox did right, was still able to get tons of production out of Jordan Howard, despite the fact that every defense we played last year was keying on him. So, Jordan Howard still getting 130-yard games against 8-man boxes last year. We got to figure out how we can do that against defenses that aren't necessarily loading up the box for Jordan Howard, but, because we have a passing game, that's what was supposed to be so great about this year. And all the guys that we added was that it was supposed to make life easier for Jordan Howard, not harder. I mean, this is the exact opposite effect we thought all of this would have. And it's frustrating to see. And we got to do something about the run blocking, whether it's the scheme, the play calling, whatever it is, we got to fix that. So bear down to the run blocking, bear up to the pass blocking, which was outstanding yesterday. So, and I think that is everybody. So, yeah, that will be the end of it. Real quick before we go, the BTU stickers, the Bear Stock Underground stickers, that whole thing's going very, very well. I think I got about half of them gone so far, and I'll make an announcement on the preview show Thursday. We'll have Chris Gates from the Daily Norseman from SB Nation, our old friend, back on the show to help us preview Bears-Vikings for Week 11 on Sunday Night Football. And maybe I'll think of something different for you guys to do if you want to earn more stickers, to add to your tally, or if some new folks out there want to get some stickers of their own, maybe I'll incorporate Instagram this time, because I have actually been using the account on Instagram, BTU_Larry for the Instagram account. So same as the Twitter handle. And, we'll see. Maybe I'll just make it a follow or something. We'll see. We will see. No official announcement yet. We'll wait till Thursday to make that announcement. So come back Thursday for the Week 11 preview. Myself and Chris Gates will preview Bears-Vikings. And until then, my name is Larry D, and this has been the Bears Talk Underground.